Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2 and I'm back with part 2 of What If Naruto Was Left for Dead by Team 7 and was found by a Godlike Clan guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Ruthless Prodigy with Kurama over an anime symbol. If you're new, yes, I did have 3 channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah guys, enjoy. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let us begin now guys. So the last time we left off, we started a few months after the Land of Wave mission, as Naruto and Sasuke were in a bind. Kakashi was holding the both of them, but there was a problem. There was a cliff, and below was a canyon. That was a wonder of the elemental nation. It is said that the canyon had no bottom, and all who ventured to find out what was inside never come back, because you could not use chakra to stick to the surface. So that was a problem. Team 7 had made their way, as they were on a mission that changed from C rank to much higher. Their goal was to retrieve an amulet. The problem was, the amulet had self-destruct upon trying to absorb Naruto chakra. That was its main purpose, but because of the 9 tails, it could not withstand that amount of power, and it exploded. The problem was it absorbed everyone's chakra, Sakura, Sasuke, Naruto and Kakashi, leaving all of them exhausted. So they could not pull themselves up. They were dead tired, and Kakashi was sleeping, as his body was exhausted. Physically, he was exhausted and mentally as well. However, realizing the situation that he could not pull the both of them up, in that moment Sakura made her emotions took over, as she shouted to save Sasuke. As Naruto was shocked, he thought that she would have tried to save them both, but he thought that after the wave mission things were going to be different, but he supposed he was wrong. Kakashi believed that the 9 tails would keep Naruto safe, but if Sasuke were to fall, he would die. Realizing that he was going to drop them both if he didn't make a decision, he released Naruto and pulled Sasuke up, praying that the beast chakra would keep Naruto alive. However, as Naruto was falling, look in his eyes, the betrayal, it stung like a knife piercing through his heart. The next moment, all of them pass out, Kakashi extending his reach, using what little strength that he had remaining. As Naruto was falling, the beast chakra awakened inside of him and covered him, but a powerful seal that had been unknown by man activated. The fox chakra was able to punch through, but the seal stopped it though. But it created a small hole as Naruto fell. He was going to fall to his death until an angelic, beautiful woman caught him in her arms. As for Team 7 returning back to the village, it was a sad affair. Izumo and Kitetsu saw that the loudmouth brat wasn't with them. That kid was always funny, but something tragic had truly happened. The moment Hiruzen saw the group, he knew what happened. Yes, he knew what happened. It was a rather shocking affair. Some time passed after that, and things weren't going good for Team 7. Sasuke, despite risking his life at the Land of Wave, he believed that he was deserving of living. After all, he had a goal and dream. But so did Naruto. He had no idea why this was hurting him so much. Not a physical pain, but a mental one. The last time he sacrificed his life, with the intention to save Naruto without hesitation, it was his turn, he told himself, trying everything to make himself feel better despite the fact that it wasn't him that made the call, it was Kakashi. As for Sakura, the guilt was starting to overwhelm her. After seeing her teammates dangling, she shouted for him to save Sasuke, not caring one bit about Naruto. And now thinking back, it was truly bothering her. To what she had said, she shouldn't have said that. Yes, it was bothering her greatly. And it's not like she's going to see Naruto again to apologize. And that was the worstest part. As for Naruto, when he came to, he saw Angel. At least he thought it was, but she explained to him that she was not an angel and he was not dead. As she started to speak to him, she was a beautiful, stunning woman with snow white hair and crystal blue eyes. As she told him that he was not dead, he was alive. She even knew his name. He asked how, when she told him that she could peer into his mind. As she told him that she knew more about him than he even knew about himself, which confused him. She told him her name was Rita. Naruto told her that he had to get back, but Rita told him that he need to remember properly on what happened. They made him fall. They had a chance, and they chose the Uchiha, despite the fact knowing that he would collapse to his death, because they did not care about him. However, Naruto was finding it extremely hard to believe the reality that she was trying to inflict on him. However, she was telling him things. She started to tell him things that he did not know. As she peered into his mind and brought him along, she showed him his parents, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Before the Kage was his father, Hiruzen knew his mother told Hiruzen to watch over him. She started to tell him that they all lied to him. They've been keeping things away from him. They never trusted him because they believed that one day he would turn against them because of what he will. The more she told, the more it was breaking away at Naruto's mental capacity. Naruto was a very strong-willed person, but she broke him down as he started to tear up. She used a special ability, allowing the both of them to traverse into the real world. As she showed him Team 7 that had gotten a new member, everyone forgot about him. Naruto got angry. She told him a story about her clan, the Oda Clan, and about the bad people that locked them away. A woman that came to this world, claiming to be a goddess. As she told Naruto that she could help him, and he could help her. To fix this world, they needed to strip it of its chakra, remove what the sage had given the world. As she told him that he could do that, the Odas did not have chakra, they had spiritual energy, and she can awaken his. Upon doing the process and Naruto pass out, his power fluctuates to new levels. That is when she smiled. As she spoke, despite no one hearing her, she had a vendetta, not just against the sage but the entire mortal world, and she would use him to get her revenge and her freedom as well. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place of your stuff. So let's begin this new episode. We begin this new episode in the past. You cannot win. The voice of Rita, Oda, spoke. A few feet ahead of her was the Sage of Sixth Path, Hagoromo. His brother was next to him, on one knee, holding on to his chest that was bleeding heavily. The both of them were in a real bad condition. Behind Rita was an army, all the members of her clan. As she stood there, bringing the man that the people of this world was claiming to be a god. down to his knees, as a sage had forced himself back up. Despite having the power of the Ten Tails at his disposal, despite having the Rinnegan and all the powers that came with that, and being half Osusuke, he stood no chance against the Odas. Rita herself was a being of unimaginable power. Just like his mother, she was not one that was born on this world. As she stood there looking at him, the sage looked over towards Hamura, his brother, as he saw the exhaustion on his face. Despite that, though, Hagoromo stood tall, showing why his will was not easily broken. "I won't stand down," he said. "I won't allow you to take this world and do whatever you please with the people." In an instant, she appeared in front of him. "Who do you think I am?" she said. "Your mother?" As she was looking him directly in the eyes. "She came here and tried to take this world when it already belonged to someone. And because of her, I had to do what I had to do. I told you from the beginning that standing in my way was a waste of time, and that you would only fall and lose to me. You think your mother was powerful? Well, I have boundless access to energy beyond your wildest imagination, even vaster than that small puny brain of yours can even understand. But I will give you one last chance," she said to him. "Give up and surrender yourself and worship under the Oda Clan. The people here, they listen to you. They follow you because they believe that you're some sort of god when you're not. Your words will convince them more, and it will also spare their life, because if they do try to fight back, I will snuff their life out." Like that, she said to him. He started to think about what she was saying. "What's with that look on your face? Can't you see? It is over. There is no fight in this. You have 5 seconds to speak, or I'll cut the both of you down right here and go on with what I'm doing without your intervention." 5. She started to count down. 4. As a sage narrowed his eyes. 3. However, the next moment someone appeared behind her. She spun around, but the person grabbed her hand and placed their hand on her chest. She blinked in confusion. Rita seemed rather surprised. Behind her was a woman. She had short white hair, but it was the same shade as Rita. She had blue eyes as well, but they were darker. "Rukia," she said, genuine confusion as she looked at the hand that had pierced through her chest. But there was no blood or guts. The hand had pierced through her on an astral form. "What is this? What are you doing?" she said, looking towards no identified Rukia. "I'm sorry, sister," Rukia said. The both of them were sisters after all. Things were never supposed to go this way. And you've gone too far. I won't allow you to do what you want to do with mankind. I have to stop you." Rita was shocked. You're betraying me. Your own family. For what? For them? For him? We've always believed that mankind was lesser than us. But we were wrong. While our power might be a lot greater, they're the better one of us, because we never understood their struggles. We never understood their pain or what they had to go through. And living amongst them for the short time that I have, I realized that controlling them, using them, taking them after their demise is not the right way. That man there, as much as you believe that he doesn't know what he's doing, mankind deserve a chance. First it was us and then his mother. They don't deserve to be manipulated or used. They deserve a chance to evolve and to live. And the only way to let that happen is by stopping you. The look in Rita's eyes were pure hatred as she looked towards her own sister. You. Her hands started to twitch as she shouted, "Kill them! Kill them all!" The problem was she could not move because of the hand placed in her chest. The Oda family behind her, they did not hesitate. After all, she was their leader, their queen. "Hagoromo now!" Rukia shouted. Hagoromo blazed through hand signs. Suddenly, a special seal appeared in his palm. His hand then turned translucent as he shoved it through Rita's back. His hand made contact with Rukia's inside of her chest. When the two hands linked up, Rukia started to break apart, her body showing small specks of light. In order to stop her sister, there had to be a sacrifice. But that is just how much she believed in humanity. The look on the sage's face was one of sadness, as the army was quickly approaching. "Go. Now," she said. "I'll handle the rest." As he dislodged his hand, You don't have to say anything," she said with a smile. "Just continue on the path that you're on. I believe in you," she said to him. "Now go." She shouted at him. Looking down, he ran and grabbed his brother. As he leaped away, Rita looked directly in her sister's eyes. "This won't hold me forever. I'll break free. And when I do return, I'll tear everything apart. I'll destroy everything that you entrust him to create. I'll destroy it all. Remember my words, sister. Remember my words." "I will be your prison," Rukia said. "And I won't allow you to escape. Mankind will survive. They will prosper without our interference." As all of the Oda members reached, Rukia's body erupted, creating a violent explosion. One by one, the Odas, their physical form was destroyed. However, as stated, none of them were from this plane of existence. Their spiritual form was sent back. It was sent away toward the spirit world. As for Rita, the massive explosion created a canyon. The powerful seal that Hagoromo had imbued in Rukia activated, and Rukia essence became the lock. Hagoromo chakra with the seal was the key as it locked together, pushing Rita down, trapping her in the massive canyon. And that was the creation of the Valley of No Return. Both brothers stood at the precedent of the destruction, as they could feel the residue spiritual energy. No chakra could ever be used here, as Hagoromo doubted that the spiritual energy would ever go away. After all, the spiritual energy was what bind Rita, and unlike chakra, even the aspect of spiritual energy could not be truly destroyed. That meant her prison would be whole forever. He started to heal his brother and help him up. "She sacrificed everything for us," Hamura said. "She did. Let us not waste her sacrifice. Let us make good on our promise," Hagoromo said. Back to the present time, Rita blinked as she got pulled out of her thoughts when she heard the painful scream of one, Naruto Uzumaki. However, despite that painful scream, he did not stop. In front of her was a humanoid figure possessing 6 arms. Each of the arms was holding onto a blade. It had no face, just a dummy. However, its body was extremely durable. And there wasn't one of them, there were 10. As Naruto was on the ground, 2 blades were in his calf, while another had pierced through his side. Rita watched. Instead of bleeding, spiritual energy was leaking from his wounds. And that made her smile. Naruto gripped onto the blade in his calf as he started to bend before he snapped it. He held onto the broken piece as he threw it, breaking the others with the blade that he had in his hand as he shattered theirs. The blade that he possessed was a rather common blade. However, imbued with spiritual energy, even a common blade can become one of the most powerful weapons to ever grace mankind. As she looked at Naruto during his training process, there was a lot that she did not tell him. She kept to her words. She never lied. She just did not tell him the full truth. Like many things in this universe, there was a start. A long time ago. A very long time ago. There was a god known as a spiritual king. He had many names. The Soul King, the Spiritual King, the King of the Underworld. Many names. It is said that he created an entire space, another existence of living, known as a spiritual world. While many would confuse it for the afterlife, it wasn't exactly that. It is said that this so-called god split himself for reasons that people did not really know. He split himself multiple times, creating fragments, and those fragments over time became something new. She was one of those fragments. Yes, she remembered the first time she came into existence within the spiritual world. She was always there, but when she fully opened her eyes, it felt different. Some fragments bonded to one another, and she bonded with another. While the terms sister, brother, mother, or father are not used in the spirit world, it was because of their views. Yes, their views on the human world. That is why they use those terms. You see, while in the spirit world she could see outside, they could all see outside. Over time, they started to view conflicts amongst one another. It was because of leadership. They wanted to know who was in charge. But more than all the others, her spiritual energy was more potent and powerful. One after another, she dominated all of them. She knew that it was her birthright to rule. So she did rule her clan. She thought that was it, but that would be a rather boring existence. Until one of her people told her about something he found out. They could briefly tamper with the human world. They saw the dawn of man, the rise of man. They saw it all. Little by little, they tampered with the world until man started to worship them. They built places of worship. And the more they worshipped, the stronger they got. Their worship imbued them with more spiritual energy, making the clan as a whole stronger. Her sister, Rukia, always was fascinated by mankind, as they gave them blessings, using their spiritual energy to either make it rain by messing with the atmosphere. They had little movement in the human world, but for the humans it was a lot. There was others though, many other worlds out there, but none of them was like this one. That was until that Osusuke woman came. Little by little, things started to change. While people still worship them, all of that changed when that woman placed them all inside of those damn cocoons, locking them all away. Rita was pissed. Yes, extremely so. However, she could not enter the human world. Well, that is what she thought. With all the worship that they received over the years, their strength had grown so much, she believed there was a chance. After gaining more anger towards Kaguya, she believed there was a chance. However, the more time they tried, the more they received nothing. Their worshippers had been gone. Kaguya had wiped their mind, making them anew. When the inevitable battle came with their sons, that is when it happened. After the defeat of Kaguya, there was so much chakra in the air from the 10 tails. The residue chakra during the battle actually caused a rift, a small tear in space and time, with the 3 godly beings clashing. Rita joined her clan, all of their power combined into hers. She used it to punch a hole between the space. However, when they did came out, their bodies did not come with them. They came out as spiritual form. One by one they found a physical form, and when they did inhabit it, they changed it into what they were. Her power was still greater than all the others, much more stronger. As she started to bind herself to this world, the others tried to do the same, but the process would take longer. It took some time for them to fully take over their human aspect forms. However, her sister could not be found. Unknown to her, her sister started to ingrain herself with humankind. Her sister already knew what she wanted to do. Knowing what she was going to do, placing mankind back on track. However, her sister was sympathizing with Hagoromo the entire time, believing that his way was right, that no one should control mankind. And her sister went to find him. She told him everything, and told him what would happen. At first he was shocked. He shouldn't be, but it seems even his mother, being a being from a different planet, was smaller than what the world truly has to offer. That is when Rita finally came, after her power had fully aligned. She came to him, believing that he would listen and understand, because she would fix this world the right way once again. However, their first meeting did not go as expected. She left with the promise that he would suffer for his actions. Little by little, she started to corrupt the humans. The human spiritual soul was weak compared to theirs, to the point that they could corrupt it and take it over. After all the humans that had prayed to them in the past, when they passed on, they entered the spirit world, their essence, giving the Oda clan more strength. Yes, that is what happened. They did not go to heaven or hell as many believe. Their essence turned into spiritual energy, making the Oda clan stronger. That is for those who worship them. She started to make sure that all human would. She waged a war against him. And the war happened, and Hagoromo lost. Rita's power was just too incredible. It wasn't chakra, it was spiritual energy. And she still had access to the spirit world. She was drawing more and more power from it. So it didn't matter how hard he tried, he would never best her. Until Rukia betrayed her, and that is how she ended up here, trapped away. However, after all these years, her salvation is finally here. This boy, him being able to access this place was not normal. However, she believed it's because of the power that Hagoromo used to empower the seal. It was the power of the tail beast. While trapped away, she was able to see the outside world, brief glimpses, so she knew some things about this world, but not all. The chakra that the fox gave him to survive had hit on the barrier. However, it activated the spiritual energy as well. But the boy was so lucky because his chakra had been drained by that amulet. His body was seen as something that did not possess any. There was just a brief second of opening. Any lesser and he would have died. So the fox chakra activated, but when the spiritual energy that was imbued in the seal tried to stop it, it could not find the chakra in his body because the amulet had sucked him dry. If there was a second later he would have died, but this place that they were in, it was a fragment in time. Everything in here was frozen in time. So the same amount of chakra that he came in here with, which was just a drop, he still had. It was not recovering because everything was frozen. But he could still move because this place believed that he wasn't a human or alive. It was truly a fascinating coincidence that this happened. A 1 in a trillion chance luck. However, she didn't believe that it was luck. She believed that it was destiny. Just like him, she was betrayed. Yes, the both of them were one and the same. And as she said, she never lied to him. Because you can't give him spiritual energy. The human body could not take spiritual energy. That physically just wasn't possible. She can't give it to him. But she did say that she could. However, it wasn't a lie. She just did not tell him the entire truth. What she did was remove the small droplet of chakra that his body still had. Yes, she completely removed it. His coils were no longer producing chakra. That is what the excruciating pain that Naruto felt was. And she did not lie because it was the first stage of gaining spiritual energy. The power that came from him was the manifestation of his remaining chakra with the seal. His mistake that shattered that stone into pieces was the backlash of that going away. So as of right now, this boy no longer possessed chakra. She removed it completely. That is what the process was for. However, that was only part 1 in awakening spiritual energy inside of him. This was something that shouldn't be possible, but she's been in here for a long time. It got her time to think. Think about theories, things that could or could not be possible. And while her sister and Hagoromo believe that trapping her in here was the worstest thing, they made a mistake because this place provided a perfect place for her to awaken spiritual energy inside of him. His body didn't have chakra. If he was outside, he would drop dead. However, because this place was a fragment in time, he was moving about like it was nothing. Unlike the other members of her clan, her power was so much stronger, and she was so much more connected to the spirit world that she grounded herself to this planet. She grounded herself to her hosts. That is why they could not send her back. They could not destroy her form like they did for the others. So they had to seal her away. So all of her power was still inside of her. It just could not leave this place. That meant it could only go one other place. Inside of him. Yes, this entire place was coated with spiritual energy. And her body was an unlimited access point because she was still connected to the spirit world. She just could not use her power outside. The body that she had taken was stuck in the seal. That is why Hagoromo had pushed his hand through her back. He sealed his form. It was stuck here, but he was not. He wasn't supposed to be here, so as he came, he could leave. But not before she was finished with him. Those constructs that she created, each and every one of them was a part of her. Each strike, each stab that they gave him, it was imbuing him, hitting his core over and over with spiritual energy. It was tampering with his very soul. This was highly experimental. And there was a 90% chance that he could die. Yes, a 90% chance. However, just as she believed that this was fate, she believed this boy was special. And the more time passed, the more she realized that she was right. It didn't matter how much they stab or slice at him, he kept on getting up. And each time he do, his body is slowly absorbing the residual, spiritual energy that came from those slashes. All of that power that was flowing through her, slamming against his very soul, imbuing into his core. So little by little, his body was absorbing it. All she needed was for his body to be overrun by it. And then, the true process of him learning how to control that power and making it a part of himself, creating something that was never supposed to be in existence. A half-human, half-spirit hybrid, having a human form that was connected to the world, that could not be that easily destroyed by any spiritual removal, and having unlimited spiritual access to the spiritual world. She was creating something extremely powerful, to the point that she did not know if there was a limit to what he would be able to do. And once he gained thus power, she would teach him every single technique, every way she knew how to manipulate spiritual energy. Her words, her views on everything had brought him over to her side. And more he was trusting her with everything that he was. The both of them were used to betrayal, so she would never betray him. And he promised that he would never betray her. And that wasn't her average promise. Because of what she was, it was a soul promise. A bond, a link, that he didn't even know how deep it went. She will have him rule by her side. Because if this worked out as she believed it would, he would become a hybrid with unlimited abilities. That only brought a smile to her lips. Time skip. At the hidden rain, on the tallest tower, as the heavens were quaking, rain was pouring as usual. After all, it was a namesake of the village, standing at the edge of the tallest tower. His body was completely dry. It seemed like his body was repelling the rain around him. As he calmly stood and gazed into the heavens, orange hair piercing and possessing the Renegon, he was Pain, the leader of this village, and self-proclaimed god of this world. However, at the moment, something was wrong. What is it? A voice said behind him. It was a woman, blue hair, brown eyes. She saw signs that showed something was wrong. There was something going on that he did not, or he wasn't telling her. He turned towards her. His face was not showing emotions that much, but his voice, his words. Something is wrong, he said. She looked towards him confused. What are you talking about? She said. He turned his gaze out once again. Something is wrong with the world, he said to her, confusing her even more, as she didn't know what he meant by that. Others could not see it. However, the Renegon allowed him access to things that others could not see. Ripples going through the ear little by little. It started a month ago, and it was getting stronger. Tiny ripples fluctuating through the ear, causing tiny quakes. He was right. While not visible to the naked eye, it was causing problems. There were pirates. There were captains on the sea. Something was wrong. The sea was behaving strangely. At this time of the year, it shouldn't be behaving like this. The pressure, the air current, the heat in the air was behaving oddly. Everything seemed off. There were some problems that no one seemed to be able to explain. Something was going on that no one was paying attention to. Something really bad. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Leaf Village, Team 7 wasn't doing so good. It wasn't doing good at all. Things were strange. For one, it doesn't matter how much time seemed to pass. Sai would never be a person that was fitted for the team. It was the way the other two treated him. And Sai was one to be vocal, not hearing of people's feelings, but instead of anger, they did not react that much to him. And there were reasons for that. Sasuke thought that Sai was a replacement for Naruto. Yes, that was the case, however. Ever since these odd, strange feelings started to emerge, Naruto was his friend. He risked his life to save Naruto at the Land of Wave. And to think that Naruto could die this easily, it was something that was hard to accept. The one that was always claiming that he would be Hokage and nothing would stop him. Always placing impossible situations. And he somehow managed to come out of them alive. After all, they had been on 3 other missions, other than that one. So it was a rather boggling feeling to know that Naruto was dead. It made Sasuke believe that he could be snuffed out that easily and fail to achieve anything. And that was holding him down. He still trained, he still pushed himself hard, but this feeling like what was gonna happen after he get his revenge? What was gonna happen then? Questions that he did not think about at first started to rise. So Sasuke did not pay much attention to Sai. As for Sakura, each time she saw Sasuke, she felt regret. It was like he judged her as well. She dreamed plenty of times about the words that she said. Even if she cared for Sasuke more than Naruto, she shouldn't have said that. Naturally, something like this wouldn't bother her, but the fact that Naruto was dead and those were the final words that she said before he died, they were bothering her greatly. However, just like he always did, Kakashi Hatake kept emotions to himself. Yes, he kept it all in. To the outside view, much hasn't changed other than him becoming more quiet than usual. But on the inside though, there was a lot of anguish and pain that the man was going through. To know that he was responsible for ending the last remnants of his sensei. Yes, there was a lot that he was going through, but he hid it really well. As for Sai, he was placed on this team to ensure that the Uchiha is safeguarded. They've already lost one great asset of Konoha. They refuse to lose another. Well, his master. However, they weren't the only ones that were affected. Kiba Inuzaka was standing on training ground 8, watching and observing his teammate, as her palm viciously strike against the post. Kiba stood there as Akamaru whimpered slightly. Ever since Naruto's funeral, Hinata had changed. While she was never one to talk that much, it was like she was no longer there. She barely talked unless spoken to. And the strange thing was, she no longer stuttered. Hinata was going through a lot. The mere fact that the one that she thought could not die, out of everyone, the one that she draw strength from, believing that he was going to achieve his dreams because he could do the impossible. It didn't matter what was in his way, he would always overcome it. But the mere fact that he could die, that he was no longer here, it broke something inside of her. It was so sudden and so swift. Not even her herself knew how to properly react. Her emotions were all out of whack. It was like her brain resetted. It was like she was born different from all the Hyugas. more gentle, more kind, more sweet. But Naruto's death reset her brain, sealing off her emotions, locking away her heart. And the only thing that she focused on was her training, because it was the only thing that made sense to become stronger. To become stronger, as strong as she possibly could. Kunai was seeing the changes in the young girl. While the training was good, she tried to speak to her, to make her express her emotions that she was feeling, but so far they have failed tremendously. As the girl was behaving like your normal Hyuga, no longer the sweet gentle girl that she once was. At the tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi was thinking about things. He sent word to Jiraiya not too long back. However, he had yet to receive a message back. The communicate told that he used told him that Jiraiya got the message. However, he could only imagine what the Sannin was going through right now. Meanwhile, Jiraiya woke up as he was in a bed. On both sides of him was two girls. Now you would think that he was happy, given the rather glorious situation, but it was far from it. Jiraiya was a man that had drowned himself in guilt time and time again. He had many regrets in this life. However, one of his biggest one was not introducing himself early to the kid, the son of Minato, his own godson. Yes, he did not do anything to get into the kid's life. Nothing at all. He did not show a supportive role. Nothing like that. What kind of godfather does something like that? That was truly a miserable act. That is how he saw it. Nothing less, nothing more. A miserable, selfish act. And here he was now. Swallowing all of his guilt was scandalous woman, drinking. He's become snazzy. He never got the chance to know the kid, and the kid never knew him. Just like that, Minato legacy was wiped away. It was gone. It seems like the prophecy that the Toad told him would never truly be achieved, because there was no other that he would ever choose as a student. He wanted to make sure the kid was ready when he took him on, but he would never choose another. As he did, just like Snade was doing, wallowing in pity and guilt. Time skip. Within the spiritual veil, as Naruto's eyes were closed, on each side, Retha creations were coming at him. The moment they were seconds away from piercing him, Naruto blurred away. He moved. As he cut through them, the four on the left fell, their body cut to ribbon. The four on the right jumped at him. Naruto twirled and slashed at the ear. His slashes releasing spiritual waves that ripped through their body. The last two came from above. Naruto weaved out of the way. It was like his body was moving automatic. He ducked and kicked their legs from underneath them as he jumped. He slammed his heel in the first one's skull, crushing it into the ground. As he flipped over the second one and took its head clean off. As he landed, the body crumbled. Clapping could be heard as he turned to see Retha coming towards him with a proud smile on her face, which made him feel extremely happy. It wasn't just that. Naruto's body had changed. It was due to the constant flow of spiritual energy. Spiritual energy, unlike chakra, was much faster in several areas. In terms of transforming, evolving. Despite this place being frozen in time, Naruto's human body that wasn't supposed to be here was not. While his time seemed to be flowing normal, The spiritual energy was making his body grow twice the size. Not anything ridiculous, however, because of his poor diet of eating nothing but ramen. Naruto's body did not mature. After all, when he just landed in here, he was 4'9". He was the shortest one on his team. But now he was standing at 5'3". Yes, and that happened in just months. A lot of things in here did not make much sense. First of all, he did not need to eat, and yet he still grew. Spiritual energy was acting like a food substance to him, as he did not feel hungry. He did miss the taste of ramen, but he didn't feel hungry. He did not need to bathe or anything. His clothing never fully got destroyed, it always repaired itself. He never had a bad odor. He was always fresh and fresh and everything. His body seemed to be cleaning itself automatically. It was this place. Naruto has been through a lot mentally. The fact that his hair had even grown out. As Naruto liked the long hair, because Rita told him that, it made him look even more handsome. His hair came down to his shoulders, it did not touch it, but there were two bangs that came in his face. His headband was no longer on his forehead, causing him to move his hair more than he naturally did out of his face. He would find a solution for that soon though. Other than that, Naruto found himself feeling bleak about the people at Konoha. While he couldn't find himself hating everyone. After all, the Ichiraku family, they never did nothing to him. However, his team, Hiruzen, those that knew the truth about him and yet they kept him in the shadow. His team betrayed him, making him fall. Yes, they did make him fall. Rita, she told him about her own sister. She told him that her sister betrayed her for the man that corrupted her, that made her think that she had no other choice. And her sister was the reason why she was locked away in here. On that day, he made Rita a promise that he would never betray her, and she made him a promise as well. When she took his hand, Naruto felt a weird sensation. It felt like something pressed against his chest. She smiled when she saw it though. He supposed it wasn't anything bad. However, the world that she described was much better than this one. Far, far better. Stripping away everyone's chakra. No one would be above anyone. Everyone would be equal. And then and truly then they could bring peace. Time was hard to explain here. However, Rita had removed the 9 tails from him. Yes, she removed it. Flashback. It's time, she said. Another obstacle in your way. And also a part of the puzzle. Naruto nodded as he fully trusts her to do what was necessary. And he believed that she would keep him safe. She had him take off his shirt as the seal on his stomach expanded outwards. Because of this place being frozen, the process of Rita breaking through wasn't hard. You see, the 9 tails was sealed by the Shinigami, the Reaper's seal, a spiritual being. Rita was able to override that by simply merging her essence in the seal. While she was feeling around, she felt 2 chakra inside of him. It was his parents. They sealed their chakra within him. However, Rita simply pulled all of that, his parents and the fox, all together. The seal broke. As she took it over, becoming one with the seal, she opened it like it was nothing. Naruto could feel pain coursing through him, but he bit down hard, calming himself. When Rita pulled her hand out of his stomach, she was holding a dark, crimson orb in her hand, with 2 strange blue light moving around inside of it. That's it, said Naruto. Yes, I told you it wouldn't be that bad. As she placed the orb in a tray with 9 slots. Just a piece of the puzzle, she said. 8 more to completion. In order to undo what the sage did, they had to gather the aspect of the power that he used to do it. They had to bring back the 10-tailed beasts. While it would need chakra to wield it for your average foe. Upon what she was and what she was turning Naruto into, the 10-tail was pure chakra, and chakra was part spiritual. She had a way of enslaving the beast, rather easily taking it under her control by force. Upon doing so, they could use the beast to ensnare every single person at once and pull the very essence of chakra from their body. This would cause a molecular change inside of them. It wouldn't kill them, because while they were stuck in the cocoon will provide special qualities that revert their body back to a form that did not need chakra. Yes, a very complicated procedure, but it will do, and it will change everything. She told Naruto her plan and what she desired. As Naruto was curious about one thing though. What about you, he said. Your freedom. How will I get you out of here? She stepped towards him with a smile. It's sweet that you're worried about me. However, you will have everything that you need to free me. By that time, I believe that you will become in tune with spiritual energy enough that you can enter the world. And once you do, you will be able to use all that chakra that you take from mankind and punch a hole in the barrier and open up the spiritual world. When those two powers collide, all the spiritual energy here will be absorbed into it, just like all chakra will, creating a nexus, an unbelievable amount of power that we could use to reshape this world, to make it better, to create everlasting peace, a world that people never betray one another, that people love and care for one another, a world where families could get along without worrying about death and destruction of war or chaos. That is a world I want to live in, and I want you to live in there by my side. I know that the road ahead is going to be hard, and you're going to have to do many difficult things, but it's the only way. Naruto's eyes were determined. Too many people have suffered already, he said. If it means doing things that I wouldn't even normally think about, then I'll do them, said Naruto, in order to bring peace. That made her smile happily. In the flashback, Rita came over towards him. It seems like they're no longer a match for me, huh? Naruto said. Yes, you have grown exponentially stronger, she said. It's only a matter of she was cut off as Naruto suddenly gripped his stomach. Ow, he said. What's wrong, she said. I just felt a sharp pain in my stomach, he said. Ow, he dropped to his knees. She stepped towards him. What is this? Naruto could not describe this pain. It felt like his insides were being boiled alive. Rita's eyes widened. Impossible. It's too soon, she said. She stepped back with a shocked look on her face. What's wrong with me? Said Naruto. Do not worry, she said, reaching out towards him. This is good. You're reaching the final step of your evolution. You're changing, she said. As Rita was looking at a once-in-a-kind, a once-in-a-lifetime event, Naruto started to scream. The entire place was trembling. The very air was vibrating, but it wasn't just inside of here. Naruto opened his mouth and released a blood-curdling scream. His eyes lost its pupil as they became completely white like he was blind. He tear at the ground so hard with his nails that he ripped them off. He bent and twisted and writhed in agony as steam came out of his mouth. It was like his insides were boiling. Rita looked around as she saw. She could see it with her eyes. Reality looked like it was cracking. She looked at her own body as she saw the spiritual energy siphoning out of her. However, that was not something that was supposed to happen. As Rita stepped back, more and more the energy was sucking out of her. However, she was connected to the spiritual world. These cracks, they weren't cracks in reality, they were cracks to the spiritual world. Rita watched as massive amount of energy spread from it. It slammed into Naruto, piercing him like a blade would, in his chest, in his arms, in his legs. His body started to solidify. A white crystal started to gather over his skin, solidifying him. It wrapped around his entire form. It pulled his body into the air. Rita watched with fascination. This was something that was never witnessed before, so even she was surprised. The process was not supposed to happen this soon. However, she was dealing with an anomaly here. After all, she was creating a hybrid, the first of its kind. No longer was Naruto's screaming being heard, but this was causing great changes. The tides were behaving violently. The wind, lightning storm. The atmosphere, the nature. Everything was being affected by the force that was being released. As the awakening of something that was a first of its kind was causing great cataclysmic damage. Earthquakes, tsunamis, thunderstorms. Pain stood on his podium once again. And this time, the energy was not rippling, it was tearing at everything. As he saw it with his eyes, it was clashing against the world's chakra. As animals were dying, people were starting to pass out. Spiritual energy being a lot for too much people. It was civilians. They were dropping like flies. What the hell is going on? Said Hiruzen at Konoha. All Kages were having the same response. Wonder what the hell was taking place. Within the spiritual world, all of the members of the Oda Clan reside. As their physical form was not there, but their spiritual form was, and they were all reacting to it. However, despite the cracks, they could not come true. They could not, but the spiritual energy was. And this place was an unlimited access. And majority of that power was flowing into the natural world. It then finally stopped. After enough had been taken, the tide slowed down. The world seemed to rest once again, as everything was calm. Rita was standing there with delight and amaze look in her eyes, when suddenly the cocoon cracked and all hell broke loose. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.